I'm here with Dr. Stephen Jackson, a child psychologist and stress expert for over 25 years. Dr. Jackson, you know, I was there with them, and I heard their little hearts and their little questions. So what is the most important advice that you would give parents?
Well, I would say that they want to keep kind of clean their own emotional house up as best they can, talk to neighbors, talk to their spouses, talk to whatever, so that they realize that the child expresses what the parent represses. So children are smart. They'll pick up on things and they'll be acting out of what you're not dealing with.
Yeah. What should parents listen for when they're talking to the kids?
Well, they should do what you did.
Yeah.
They should ask them specifically what's on their minds. You know, one psychiatrist was quoted in the New York Times, said a teenager came in to see him, typical session, and says, the World Trade Center, that's gone, and that means there'll be no world trade, and it's shutting the whole world down. And that's the kind of thing we need to know, rather than, are you just worried about this or that, or did you see those images? You need to make sure that you're hearing what they're really experiencing.
How do we reassure our children when we don't feel reassured?
Well, the first thing, we want to make sure we let them express fully what they're feeling and validate. I can understand how you'd be scared.
Yeah.
And in reassuring them, we want to reassure them, like the little girl who ended it with, I want to get to people. We don't want to get into this place of hate, of hating a whole sector of humanity, you know, but rather say to them something like, you know, we're going to have to go into the forest, and we don't want to kill the deer and the birdies and all that. We want to just get the snakes, and there's only a few snakes around here.
Do you feel afraid? Is that a good way to go?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you sum it up with a very powerful emotion, which is love. Talk to me about that.
Well, I break it down into a couple little steps. On the left hand from your heart, for your children, you want to listen, open your mind and your heart, verbalize back what you hear them saying so you can validate it. I can see how you're scared about that. And then E, on the other side, you want to then encourage them. You
do
want
it again, do it again.
Listen, open your mind and your heart, and verbalize back what you're hearing them saying.
And then
that you're also validating them saying. And then E, on the right hand, on the other side, you, as a balanced human being, are telling them, you know, you're expressing your reassurance to them. You're encouraging them and
so
giving them.
Listen, open, verbalize, validate, express.
Right.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So, after all, parental love is the milk that builds the bones of self-esteem, and listening is the way we do that. And that empowers our kids through this difficult time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Next, is the entire nation in fear? Dr. Stephen.
Our negative emotions, and fear is one of them, tells us something important.
Yeah.
It's either been lost or is in danger and moves us to run away from it. The difference between fear and anger is anger tells us the same thing, except it moves us to fight about it. So we're going to flip-flop back and forth between those things.
Okay.
But as Sean Connery said in First Night, the Richard Gere who claimed to fear nothing, he said, a man who fears nothing loves nothing, and if you love nothing, what joy is there in life?
Or terrorize ourselves. Does that make sense, Dr. Stephen?
Yes, there's something I would add to that. If you take fear, and you're feeling your fear, and you ask from your soul and your heart, what's my fear telling me? So instead of asking a question, you go, my fear of my husband not being here is telling me, and then take it and pump it up, I hate it that he's not here, and that's because, and that's the little mental device, the mantra, and that's because I would love it if he was here. And you keep working to close the gap between what you would love and what is.
And I really want to encourage people, write it down on a piece of paper. I'm afraid because. I feel afraid because. Is it true that one of the most difficult experiences with anger is that we think it's inappropriate to be angry? We think we're wrong for being angry, and isn't it just that we need an appropriate way to express the anger?
Absolutely. The main thing is that when we repress it, so my little shtick is always express, don't repress or aggress your stress.
Oh, that's a lot.